Okay, we are live. I am continuing my live stream. I've totally forgot to even put up a link to it. I'm hoping that I monetized it. But it's been a crazy few hours just trying to kind of get back to the drawing table. So, but it is 9:00. And there are pages, comic book pages, that need to get done. So that's what I'm going to do. So anyhow, what is this stream and who am I? I am Joshua Kemble. I've been a freelance illustrator, graphic designer for over 20 years. I've been an art director for about 8. I have 2 published graphic novels that took a long time to do. They took like about a decade if I add them together. And I've learned quicker ways of working and also just ways of sleeping less. And I'm hoping that I can hit, and I think everything's on track. Although honestly, like the last few days, I got a little behind on where I'd like to be on a graphic novel that I'm working on right now. So let me first mention the graphic novel that I have out. I did a part of why I'm a little behind on the pages is promoting this book. So Frank said 2 published graphic novels. Amazing. Hello, Frank. How are you doing? You were missed, buddy. It's like the second you went to sleep on the last stream, we started getting porn spam bots like nonstop. So I was like having to just ban. Like it was funny. I think you would have gotten a kick out of it. Anyhow, so welcome, Frank. I'm glad to have you here while you're here. So Jacob's Apartment is my graphic novel that just came out a couple weeks ago. I did a signing yesterday at Barnes & Noble. I did some videos kind of recapping it and stuff like that. But it's a book I'm really proud of. It is a slice of life, coming of age story about 2 young adults, Jacob and Sarah, who are both pursuing their dreams in the arts and are both philosophically opposite. Jacob is a Christian, Sarah is an atheist, and both are hit with some kind of curveballs in life. And Jacob basically has his father die of cancer, and from that starts kind of losing his faith, like questioning his faith, and also questioning his identity in general, and is kind of scrambling to find purpose and reason. And Sarah is reeling from a broken relationship and trying to kind of find her identity. And as they're both kind of seeking to find who they are and kind of figure out their identity, they fall in love and wind up having their dreams and reality kind of interweave in a doomed romance story that is very similar to like if it has the feel of like Ghost World or Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, because there's a lot of interplay of dreams and reality in it. And I'm very proud of this book, and you can buy it right now. So yeah. Frank said I saw the replay. That's awesome. Frank, if you're bored, man, share out the I got overwhelmed with just like basic stuff. Like my wife's exhausted, so I thought like, okay, go take a nap. Like, and then I took care of a lot of the Ben stuff, which is no problem. I'm a dad, so that's like half of my job, right? Is like I need to sub in and like obviously watch my kid. But then my son like has like slight insomnia right now, and needed some extra time after book time just to like kind of help him relax and stuff, because there's fireworks going off, which is cool. That's, it's the 3rd and tomorrow's the 4th, so it kind of makes sense. People are eager to like light their fireworks and stuff like that. But Frank, if you wouldn't mind just like sharing the link to this to the Artcasters group and maybe the Hundreds group. I don't know if I think you're a member of the Indie comics group too on Facebook. So if not, no worries. But if you want to do that, that'd be awesome. Let's see. Oh yeah, and then my other book is 2 stories, which you can get on Amazon for a really reduced rate. I think it's still about like $8 or something, which is insane for a full graphic novel. So go take advantage of whatever broke in the algorithm of Amazon. Get yourself a deal. If you have Prime, you'll have free shipping. And Frank said, "Sure, no problem. Thank you, Frank." So anyhow, on this stream, I'm going to be working a little more. I worked earlier today on finishing up the roughs for page 21 of Not Death But Love, the strange supernatural case of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, which is a historical fiction graphic novel heavily based in off of letters between Elizabeth Barrett Browning and Robert Browning, who were some of the more important English poets in Victorian era in England. And so, without further ado, we're going to get into working on roughing out page 22. These pages are our last page was showing a hallway in Wimpole Street, 50 Wimpole Street, their residence, and required a little bit of family history, and we had to kind of research some different family portraits and stuff like that, as well as find like Annabelle. I believe her name's Annabelle or Arabelle. I can't now. I'm blanking, but it's in the script. But anyhow, Elizabeth's youngest sister. And we had to kind of figure out like what does she look like and all sorts of stuff. But we got that all resolved. We got that page done, and now we have this beauty, which is a blank page. And we're going to start breaking down the script. I'm going to make a list. This is just something that helps me to kind of break down the logistics of a page. I need to probably work out just like how many actions are there, how many different panels are there, and then what am I going to do to kind of depict the script properly and kind of convey whatever emotion is most heavy on the page. So if you're unfamiliar, like over here is where we're going to do that list. We're going to do a thumbnail, and then hopefully we're going to rock a rough page. And we're going to be doing a lot of research. So when I'm able, or let's see here. I'll even set that up because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to do that. So I'll just go to like Google's front page, and then we'll kind of set this up where it's Google. So that like basically when we're researching, I'll just pop it up there so we can check it out. And then, if you guys are watching the stream, one of the fun things of the stream that I think actually a lot of people enjoy is you too can help me research this book, which is kind of exciting. So it's kind of like a search through the past. We're going to go back to like the 1850s, and we're going to find the elements we need for this plot. So I've found it really exciting. It's been a pretty fun adventure kind of making this book so far, and let's get on to working out all the details that we need to for this. So we'll start. It all starts with the script and also a very small glass of whiskey, which I poured prior to starting this. And it's like a pretty good whiskey too. Okay. So this may be a late night, and it may be a stream that goes for a while, and I'll probably like try to get through at minimum thumbnailing the page. But it'd be cool if at least in this stream we can kind of get all the way to roughs. It'd be even cooler if we can get more than one page roughed, because we finished one rough today, but I want to do some catch up. And we're on the eve of the 4th of July, and that's pretty cool. And I'm curious, like, if you guys are watching or whatever, let me know in the chats what you guys are doing for the 4th. I think we're going to do a barbecue thing at a friend's house that we've done traditionally every year. And then usually we use like very small fireworks And luckily, it's at a friend who's an engineer's house, so the likelihood of like firework mistakes is pretty slim because this is a person who literally designs like jets for a living. So it's like he's pretty good at like safety regulations and stuff. But it's fun for the kids. They get to hold like a little sparkler. We get to kind of celebrate what I, like the better parts of the country that we love. Even if the country we love sometimes sucks, you still want to kind of, I don't know, take heed of like the great things about our country. Yeah, so that's basically what we're gonna do tomorrow, when I'm not working. And now we're just talking about the 4th of July. Let's stop talking about the 4th and let's get into making comics. So, because this comic is not going to make itself. So the script for page 22 says, so we basically, I'll recap like where we're at in the story. So it's basically started out Elizabeth Barrett Browning. We're introduced to her brother first at the beginning of the script. Her brother drowns at sea. And then we flash forward to 50 Wimple Street in the 1850s. And Elizabeth is kind of bedridden. She's being fed like laudanum by her maid, Wilson, and by her father, who's slightly kind of doting over her and like and clearly like trying to take care of her, but also is not like the kindest father, as we kind of find out from different letters that reveal themselves. Elizabeth's writing poetry. She's having poetry published, but she's still kind of mourning and grieving the loss of her brother. But she's also fallen in love with Robert Browning, who pretty much like comes and sends her a letter and decides like, hey, we're gonna elope. I know it's against your father's wishes, but let's do this. And then Elizabeth and Wilson sneak out of the house and get married at a really fascinating church that we looked up on the live stream and kind of did building of. It's like a Methodist church in London. And then we, on our last page, have yeah, her brother Henry Cavill. And you guys will know, like, we were looking at Henry Cavill for inspiration for like his chin in particular, because he's just like a very masculine, handsome looking dude. So we were like, hey, he's a good candidate for like the lost brother. And also, maybe she's secretly tied in. Maybe there's like a little subplot that we could sell to DC after, maybe there could be a tie-in. I'm joking. But anyhow, so yeah, so then to catch us up where we are, and I'm doing this also so I'm mentally in a good space to kind of feel the mood of the story. So now we have had Elizabeth has sent a letter to her father, and that was our last page. And the letter is basically saying, hey, we eloped. I'm just paraphrasing. Please forgive me. I know you didn't approve of this. And the father goes to their hallway, and it's got like all these family portraits. Obviously, they're a fairly wealthy family because they have maids and stuff like that, but they aren't like peak wealth. Like, they're considered like lower of the high, like, name wealth in England. But they are wealthy enough to have like family portraits lining like their crazy nice estate in England. So anyhow, like, he finds Elizabeth's portrait. Her sister is following concerned behind her father. And then as her sister is just teary-eyed watching this, she's like dabbing her eyes, her father rips her portrait off of the wall. So obviously he's not happy about this decision. And now we are at page 22. And page 22 starts with inside a cramped passenger cabin. So I'm going to make a list of things we need here. And by the way, this is a verso page, so that means it's on the left. And so I copied one of the previous verso pages so that I don't have to recreate the guides. And I recommend, when you guys are working on books, have preset guides and make sure you know the template, especially in comic books. Because if you do comics in the wrong size, for publication, then you're kind of screwed, right? Like it's not going to do you a lot of good. And you might end up spending more time reformatting than you would just making a new comic, or you'll end up reformatting it and losing a lot of quality of like the original intention of the work. So always make sure you know the intended size for the finish. And if you're working for a publisher, get templates for them, cross-check the templates, make sure your bleeds are good, make sure your safe areas are good, all that stuff. Okay. So page 22, inside a cramped cabin. So we know we need a cramped cabin. And I know because I've already read this a little bit, it's going to be a cramped ship cabin. Elizabeth hunches over in a small bed. 2. Elizabeth Barrett Browning hunched over small bed. I'm not sure if we need an establishing shot. We'll see. Covering her mouth with a handkerchief. That's one shot, actually. Cramped cabin. That's just going to be 1. Robert sits beside her, soothing hand on her back. So Robert Browning next. Hand on back. I'm going to put like est with the question mark because I think we might need an establishing shot. Caption. SSL Ocean. I'm wondering if we should maybe make this like an establishing shot of ship. And maybe we should flip this for clarity's sake. Okay. We're getting there. Elizabeth, cough, cough. It's the best dialogue I've ever read in my life. That is the dialogue that's going to get us an Eisner for this book. Kidding. All right. Should Elizabeth be coughing here? She's hunching over. I'm going to put this. Okay. This might be a little much. It might be nice to have 3 question mark. Elizabeth coughs. I mean, we want to know that it's a bad cough. That's the key. All right. So then the next is, and what are your plans, by the way, Frank? What are your plans for the 4th? The cabin floor slants as the ship rolls violently in a storm. Okay, this is tough. Like 4, cabin floor slants. So we could do slanted. That could be the part of the cough panel. And this is going to be in storm because that's established later, but it's still good. 4, cabin. I'm going to just say floor slant. Because I'm thinking it's going to be a shot that shows skewed, like they're all kind of doing that, and then the next one's like they're all kind of doing that. Frank said, "I'm just staying in." Good for you, Frank. Are you going to do any fireworks or get a hot dog or like a cheeseburger or something? Oh, Frank said I might stream tomorrow. Awesome. You should, as Captain Goggles, I think. Actually, no. You should stream as Captain Courage because I think Captain Courage would celebrate the 4th. All right, so Wilson enters with a bottle of laudanum, clutching the cabin for support. Okay, here we go. So this is going to be Wilson enters cabin, clutching cabin wall. And guess what this all means? Well, we'll break it down after this because after that I make this list, I'm gonna make a list of all the props and locations that we have to look up. She reaches the bed. Shakily pours. That's a different. Okay. 6. Shakily pours a spoonful bottle of laudanum, which we've already shown, so that's cool. Shakily pours a spoonful. Tips into EBB's mouth. It's a lot. Okay. Cool. So what do we need to look up here? We're probably going to decide on, obviously this is a different day. I think Robert might be same costume. EBB costume. Is she going to be in a nightgown? Because they're in a cabin on a ship. Okay, so that's one thing we have to look up. In this case, do we want to look up the handkerchief? I don't think handkerchiefs were unique in that era, but it might not be bad to look up. And that could actually be cross research for like the last page too, where we had a handkerchief. Okay, we need to look up the SSL Ocean and see if we can find it. We need to definitely look up Victorian ship cabin. But we also need to see what the SSL Ocean is because it's SS. So I'm guessing this is like, one of those big old like ocean liners, It's going to be like the Titanic or whatever. Bop, 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 bop. I know this is the most quality sketch you guys will ever see. Nightgowns and handkerchiefs. This is getting saucy, says Frank. Yeah, I know. This is like the danger zone. For Victorian England, that's pretty spicy material there. All right, so And then we got laudanum, but we can pull that from the other page. So we don't have to research that. And then Wilson's going to be in her same maid outfit. So we're good with that. Poor Wilson, like, never gets a costume change. You got to think, Victorian England, to get bored as a maid just wearing the same outfit all the time. I guess it's not that different than like being like a waiter or something like that, where you're going to be wearing pretty much the same outfit all the time. But thinking about it, like, they must have like 10 different copies of it's almost like Ernest. Do you guys remember Ernest? Frank, I feel like you'd be like, you're a guy who's hip to the 90s. I have a suspicion you would be familiar with like the Ernest P. Worrell stuff, like Ernest Goes to Jail, all those movies and stuff. Anyhow, there was this bit with Ernest as a character where he would have the same, he had like 10 of the same outfit. And I don't think that's a unique bit to him. I feel like that is a vaudevillian bit, but that might even be like a Charlie Chaplin bit that he like borrowed, but still. And I gotta say, in all honesty, I kind of love the Ernest movies. They're so bad, but good. Frank was saying, did maids have days off back then? I think that in general, the kind of maid that Wilson is, I think it's very similar to now I'm gonna blank out on that. There's that Victorian show. Oh my gosh, now I'm gonna blank out on it. It's like it's about a specific house, and it just happened recently. It's like about a manor, and all the servants and the maids, they basically like live in the house. Yeah, I think it's Downton Abbey. And then there's a few that are kind of like married or have like families outside, and so they like live off property. There's a few that live in like a small house that's on the property. And I mean, obviously that family in Downton Abbey is like much wealthier than the Brownings, even though the Brownings are pretty loaded. You got to think like they're in like a manor, and the Brownings are in kind of like a flat, but not a cheap flat. So the Brownings are more kind of, if you think of My Fair Lady, the movie, or the play, it's like Professor Higgins' place is like very similar to the structure of this kind of setup. So it's like a very exquisite, like, they have all the different stories of 50 Wimple. So it's not cheap. It's kind of like in New York, if you had like a whole flat, like that's insane, So they do have some wealth, but they're not like a manor that like has like a million, servants and staff. But yes, that was a long-winded way of saying, no, Frank, I don't know if I think they had days off. They had times off. They definitely had like night times off. But I think that somebody like Wilson would be like almost like a butler, which means like they're on point, and maybe they have like a vacation day. I don't know. I don't even know if they had vacation. Anyhow. Frank said the Brownings are middle class wealthy. Well, okay, so here's the weird thing. They're not middle class wealthy. They're wealthy. Like, they're upper class. They're just like there was such a ridiculous wealth divide back then that you were like at the lower end of upper class, or you were like poor. Like, there wasn't a really like healthy middle class, which is part of what like spurred people, I mean, that kind of wealth divide has always been a problem, but it's like it was really exaggerated, I think, in that time. Which is why I always found it weird when people read like a Jane Austen novel. I mean, I can understand the fantasy of it, but it's like people always read like something like Pride and Prejudice, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm the main characters. And it's like, no. In that era in time, you'd be like the assistant to the maid who's like, basically like hauling like fields or whatever for potatoes. Like, you weren't going to be like, if you were like upper middle class, you might be lucky enough to be a butler or like a servant in that scenario. So all those main characters in like Jane Austen novels that are like struggling and poor, it's like they always have servants, they always have maids. Like, they're not poor, like they're not middle class, like they're very absurdly wealthy people for the time. It's just that like in that class-based society, it was kind of ridiculous. Like in this case, it's like Elizabeth is doing this shocking thing by eloping, because back then your title and your land and your dowry and stuff were like huge deals, and you never married below your station. And so for Elizabeth to marry Robert was like this shock, because Robert is a poet. Like, and Robert even is like, again, they're very wealthy, but they're like the bottom end of wealthy. It's weird. It's kind of hard to explain from what I understand. And if I'm explaining it wrong, like if somebody's watching this and they're like a historian, and they want to correct me on that, I will happily take the correction. But that's from my understanding. Okay, let's get into thumbnails. Enough of this talking. Wait a minute. We have research to do before we can do thumbnails. This is the fun of historical fiction. All right, guys. If you guys are drawing, I don't want to distract you from that. So you can keep this in the background. If you are not, feel free to like hop in and help me out with the research. Look at that beautiful 4th of July Google. I kind of like that. And I got to say, 4th of July is awesome. Okay. America. All right. So we're going to do SSL Ocean. And what's more American than working on a historical fiction graphic novel about English Victorian poets? Huh? Okay. SSL Ocean. Victorian ship. Oh my goodness, you guys. I don't want the... See, I shouldn't look up Victorian because Victoria... There we go. And I know this is in the 1850s. So I'm going to look up 1800s. Would it be the SS Oceanic? No, because this doesn't exist yet. This is 1870. Okay, so if you guys want to look up the SSL Ocean, if you guys can find the SS Le Ocean, let me make sure I spelt that right. SSL Ocean. A decade of ocean liner fires. Oh my gosh. If you guys can find the SSL Ocean, there's this thing called the SSL Antique. Let's see what this says. Yeah, this is like her keel was laid on the 28th. Yeah, that's way too late. I don't know if they had like steam to the level then. SSL Ocean ship 1850. Ocean class ships of the line. How would this be like a gunning ship though? Ocean class 120 gun ship. I don't think they were traveling on a 120 gun ship. SSL Ocean. There's this SS Baltic. SS France. Hmm. Like, I'm really curious what this ship is. If you guys stumble across something, you let me know. Ocean liners. Public domain search. Let's go there. SS Asia. I don't think it's the SS Asia. (1850s) cruise ships to France. Or liners. Liners. Here we go. Established eight. Oh, I love it. Frank said, I was looking up the history of goggles, and there's an old illustration of Venetians, and one of them looks like Captain Goggles. So I am in history. It's true. You're also at a restaurant. What is the restaurant again, Frank, that had like the illustration that looked like Captain Goggles? Okay, it sounds like the first steamers are like 1864. So this probably isn't a steamer. Ocean liner. Let's try that. Ocean liners were built in the mid 19th century. Interesting. The steam engine also allowed ships to provide regular service without the use of the sail. I don't know if it's like a steam engine. That's the part that's tough about this. The first ship to be both iron-hulled and equipped with a screw propeller was the SS Great Britain. She was run aground and stranded in 1846, so that's not this ship. 1858, Brunel built his third and last giant, the SS Great Eastern. Come on, there's got to be a track of this ship. Look at this, though. Sorry, this is the fun part about research. Can you believe that? That's awesome. It's got a cutaway. That's like a comic book. Canard line. Jim said, wait, just to be clear, is this the Jennifer Lopez documentary I'm watching? Am I on the wrong channel? Jennifer Lopez. Is SSL Ocean having to do with Jennifer Lopez? I am really, or do I just look like Jennifer Lopez? If I look like Jennifer Lopez, I understand. I'm a very attractive woman sometimes. I know that can throw people off. I'm really trying to find the SS El Ocean. Let's try that. El Ocean, France. Le de France? Do you guys think it's the Le de France? No, that's way too recent. Darn it. These thumbnails are never easy with this Victorian England to France travel. Jim was saying you totally look like Jennifer Lopez. Thank you. It's really my bottom half that makes me look like J-Lo. I'm just saying. That's usually, like, I'm used to that happening all the time. Like, people will, especially if I'm like walking away from them, they'll be like, is that J-Lo? And then they're like, oh no, it's Kemble. That happens to me all the time. Okay, let's see. I don't know if this is gonna have any. This is one of the tough things about this book is like these ships. I don't know anything about ships. I don't need railways either. Like, is it this kind of ship? That's what I'm trying to get at. This is the tough part that you don't have to answer when you're just writing a script, you know, like, is it a crew? Like, who knows? Thomas Adams said, would it be the RMS Ocean? Well, I mean, the script, which is researched, you know, it literally says SS Le Ocean. Oh my gosh, Jim has a great story here, I'm guessing. He says, Josh, true story. I sat with Sergio Aragonés at the NCS Christmas party. I asked him if he draws ships from reference or from his head. He said, I'm so old, I can draw anything out of my head. All right, we got to talk to Sergio Aragonés about this SS La Ocean. And also, I want to talk to Sergio Aragonés about his amazing mustache. I am like his drawing abilities and all that stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm getting a 4th of July sale ad. It's like they know we're on YouTube. They're like, dude, we'll get extra advertising. I'm blown away by his drawing skills, but I really would like to see. Yeah, SS is usually a United States ship. RMS is British. Maybe that's a mistake. Oh my gosh, am I? Let's go back to the script and let's see what her. I may not be paying enough attention to her letter. So she said, As you have undoubtedly discovered, I am married and will soon travel to Italy. Italian. That's my bad. I thought it was France. This might help. So let's look up England to Italy ship 1850s. The voyage took between 40 and 90 days. I felt like, yeah. Here we go. Historical England. Look at this. Look at this. There's an SS right there. Nice SS. Thomas Adams said SS is usually a United States ship. RMS is British. I think you're right. Let's see what we got. Victorian, page 3. You guys like my very immensely rich history lesson here? I'm joking. I'm not the best researcher. I'm just trying to find a ship. I want it to be the Bertha, this chain-operated Bertha. That's kind of amazing, but I don't think that's what it is. I don't think we've got like a Crimean warship. And Jim said, typical Josh up late night at night talking about a ship. We had the same problem with the earlier ship in the script. It's very hard to find. So I'm guessing it's and by the way, this is backing what Thomas is saying, because like not this one's not RMS, but this one's HMS. But I'm not looking for warships here. That I think we came across this the last time we were looking for ships. And again, I could make up a ship, but the problem is I want to make a book that like somebody who's like a buff, like a nerd for Landon Huber said, "What's up, Josh? How's it going, Landon Huber? How you doing?" We are looking for like again, I am very happy if you guys want to find this ship. Can you find the SS Ocean? It's a ship that existed in the 1850s and would travel from England to Italy, apparently. Oh, here's some SS's. You know what? Maybe SS is an Italian ship. Because this says here, liners such as the SS Schiller were built in like the 1870s and wrecked off the Isle of Sicily, but Sicily is Italy. So, and then the SS Stromboli or Stromboli, which is one of Jim's relatives. I'm just joking because like anytime Jim talks about family stories, he always makes his relatives sound like Italians. Landon said, I'm okay getting closer to being done with my next art process video in which I do an oil painting. Do you do an oil painting of the SS Ocean? If you do, I would kill for that painting right now. Okay. We're getting a little closer here. I'm guessing this I think it's a liner, but it seems like it predates. This is hard. So the 1860s were the zenith of the merchant sailing ship era, while 16 British and American clippers. I don't think this is a clipper ship, and I don't think it's American. Might be. Landon said, nope, sorry, it's something else, but I don't want to spoil the surprise. Well, I'm excited, man. I think it's cool you're painting. I've talked about that on here, but like I have a passion for painting. A passion that can only really either be filled by painting or by Jim Lujan cartoons. Jim said, just draw the love boat. I like that idea. Man, it's crazy. We're like an hour in and I haven't found the ship. Do you guys see why historical fiction is tough? You know what's amazing? I will tell you guys, if you want to see historical fiction done just exquisitely well, check out Jason Lutz Berlin. It's like it is probably, I would say, like not only one of the best graphic novels ever made, but for historical fiction, it is mind-blowing the level of research that went into that book. I'm just not seeing this. The ship. Departure and arrival, Europenia. Is that the ship? Same person said, sometimes going to a big library will help. Not everything is online. 100%. The problem is I'm on a deadline where I have to do 230 pages by April. And so I just don't have time to go to a library, which is a shame. I even mentioned on this stream by some person, I'm just commenting on that. There was just like a very beautiful moment where when I was at TCAF, like the Toronto Comics and Arts Festival, and I'm in this library and it's like 5 stories high. And I was like, I would kill for that library if it was open 24 hours a day and it was local. And locally here, our libraries have like terrible resources. And they're just not research libraries. So in order to get to like a good research library locally, I'd have to go to like downtown LA, which is like a really long drive from the part of LA County I live in. So yeah, I'm kind of bound to dealing with what I can find. But I'm also trying not to like bother the author, because the author did a crap load of research for this book, but also I want to kind of do my due diligence and like find what I can. Landon said, maybe your next project should be something else besides historical fiction, so you won't have to rely on a reference guide so much. Just a thought. Well, I mean, that's kind of part of why I got into the idea of doing historical fiction. There's a part of me that actually really enjoys the challenge. I think it's fun trying to find this ship. Am I crazy? I actually find it kind of fun. I don't want to warship here. I don't think it's a clipper. I don't think it's a clipper ship. Age of Steam. It said around 1830, steam engines appear on ships as adjuncts to sails. So I'm guessing this is a steamship. I mean, I want it to be this ship because that looks really fun to draw. Great Eastern. See, okay, here is one. The SS Great Britain. Is it a propeller-driven ship? Yeah, same person said researching indirectly could help. Look up common ships of the time or a model number. Yeah, that's kind of where we ended up on the first thing. But just the fact there's an actual ship name here. Frank said, draw the Ark. It should just be a floating Ark of the Covenant. I like that. Jim said, man, you are getting into some deep ship here. But seriously, I mean, if you guys apply those research skills and find the SS Laotian. Okay, so let's look up Victorian ships from England to Italy. Try that. Lists of ships in the line to Italy. Let's find this out. Here's the thing, like, for anybody kind of tuning into this who might be like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, why would you take on a historical fiction graphic novel? Full transparency, I'm likely slightly autistic. And so, like, for me, the idea of the research is really fun. And we're back to this thing. I think we already ended up with this. I mean, the Great Britain's a good example of like a ship. Oh, Frank was saying draw it like Noah's Ark. I like that idea. It'll have like a bunch of zebras and giraffes like sticking their heads out of the windows. HMS. HMS is warships. I mean, this might be a U.S. steamer. Oh, this is going to be possibly very helpful. I mean, do you guys see like the awesome references I'm going to get to when we get to Italy? We have so much good references of like the area they're heading to, but it's just the stupid ship again. The ship, we'll get there. We'll get there. We're at about the hour mark. I will say, like, I think once we find the ship, we'll be good. Or at least the type of ship. Age of Exploration and the Great First Fleets. Renaissance ships. I don't want the Renaissance. I want Victorian ships, you guys. I want Victorian ships. Try Enlightenment Age. I think that's about this time. No. I think this is way after the Enlightenment, actually. 1700s. I just wish I could know if it's like a steamship. I like the idea of it being Noah's Ark, though. It's a very strange sight. Not liking that ad. Cold War. Prior to that. Let's try Italian travel ships 1850. Okay, let's try this. English travel ships 1850. Jimmy said it might be time to use your one call to the author. Yeah, but like that's the problem is like also just the weird hours that I draw. Victorian 3. I think this is the same thing. We might be looping here. Yep, we might be looping here. Interesting. That's actually helpful. It said it seemed unlikely that Steam could ever compete economically with Sail. This is like in the by 1848. We're not that far after that. Great Western Steamship Company therefore agreed to build another ship larger and faster than the Great Western, which was to be scrapped in 1856, Crimean War. The keel of the SS Great Britain. List of SS ships, England. Passenger ships of the United Kingdom. Oh my gosh, you guys. It's making me excited. Oh, I love that. Jim was saying, do not forget to do the research when you draw the jet skis. Yeah, we've had this on-running joke in here that there's going to be a Victorian story where it says like Victorian England 1850, and it's a Miami Vice shot of like a guy with Uzis on a jet ski who has a monocle because, of course, it's Victorian. Draw Noah's Ark as a filler and call your sister in the morning. Just don't send the page with the Ark to the publisher by accident. I like that. We'll get there. I think this might actually be helpful. So we're looking for the SSL Ocean. These are all the SS ships. Wouldn't it be funny if that actually didn't exist? What? Oh, snap. But this is a French Navy ship. That doesn't make any sense. The Océan. Forgive my terrible pronunciation. Lotion. Wait, why would they be... Okay, so we found the ship. But, like, the ship's from... Am I crazy? Like, this ship is really old. Wait. Launched at Brest in 1790. She served until 1855. You guys, this is why all you assholes, I'm joking, you're not assholes, but I'm saying all you guys who are like giving me shit for like Googling and stuff, look at this. We found the freaking ship. Do you see this? There's the Ocean. Naval action. Sailors wanted. Bowen stern chasers. So it's a naval ship. It's a 118 gun first rate ship of the line. She's the largest ship currently in game. She doesn't have the most guns. That's weird that it would have guns though, but I guess maybe it's a gunship of the French Navy. Renamed several times. Served until 1855. She was the fleet flagship. Did she get like retired and become like an ocean liner? She's in the Battle of Groix. And then she was ferrying troops. And finally, she's decommissioned in the 1850s and used as a floating artillery battery. Dude, this can't be the right ship. Let's look at the history. I mean, like, would you travel? Would you travel on naval ships in Victorian England? Travel by sea was arduous, uncomfortable, and dangerous. Months of uncertainty. Okay, great. I'm going to go with this ship. It's the Ocean. General description. It's just weird that it would have a gun deck, you know? I would just think of it as more of like I would think it should be like a steamship, but maybe steamships aren't around at this point. Interesting. Yeah, some person said maybe protection from pirates. Well, the other thing is like, here's the thing. It's not far-fetched to think if you're like eloping and you're in a rush, like maybe you do stow away on like I mean, they've got to have like passenger areas on naval ships. Thomas Adams said it was a Napoleonic warship. Yeah, Victorian pirates were a menace back then. Victorian pirates. They also like rode jet skis and had like sharks with monocles. It's a thing. But he said, well, if it's a French ship that just came off of a war with Mexico around that time, so maybe, yeah, I'm just gonna go with this ship and be like, hey, you know what? This is the ship I found. So okay, we have like a lot of nice references of this, so we're gonna find the references and we're gonna use them. It is weird though, like why would they travel? I don't know. The fact that they're traveling on a gunship. I mean, I don't think that's that strange because I do like feel like I've watched a lot of naval stories where especially like pirate stories from like the Victorian era where you have like like a naval ship that is hosting like some celebrity writer or something and like they're supposed to be like kind of hosting them on a voyage to like something. So it's not unthinkable. It's just kind of a little shocking, but we did find the Ocean and it existed at the time. I'm just like, what's the likelihood that there's going to be like two ships called Ocean that are from 1850? It just doesn't seem likely. So we'll just kind of have to go with that. And then again, if the writer wants to correct that or whatever, they can. Decommissioned 1850. What's a floating battery? Let's just see, because I don't even know. Yeah, it's like a supplement to the battle fleet in the Crimean War. The role of the battery was to assist unarmored mortar and gunboats. Interesting. I love Corey Kerr said, "Is it a battery that's eaten enough fiber?" I don't know. I'm gonna kind of chill with this ship. I mean, I find it really hard to think. Like maybe this is just bad research. I don't know. I find it hard to think that there's going to be a ship that exists that has the exact same name as another ship at the time. I mean, Ocean is not like a very common ship, but this is literally 1850. So I don't know. I'm gonna kind of. I think I'm good with that. I think we found a ship characteristics. I mean, it served till 1855. It's just like a fleet flagship, and it's the French Navy. Why would it be going to Italy? Because it may not be a naval ship, but I mean, La Ocean. That's at least that's a start. But La Ocean is French. File La Ocean .jpg Wikimedia Commons. There's that. It's the same ship. I'm wondering if this is like one of those moments where like maybe the research on the book was just kind of like what's a ship that existed at the time and didn't get as heavily into it as it should. I mean, that's a cool look at that model. Dude, we're finding a lot of cool references here. I mean, I kind of hope this is the ship. So Frank said money talks. Yes, I will agree. And speaking of money talking, I do take super chats, and they do talk. Like when people super chat, it's amazing how quickly I read it. As long as it's not disparaging of other people. I'm kidding, by the way. Like you guys don't actually have to do super chats, but what the heck? It's kind of fun. That's a really nice. Yeah. So I'm gonna guess this is the ship. I'm gonna take that wild gamble and hope that I'm not wrong. And again, this is the rough stage, so we found the ship. I'm gonna guess we found the ship. If you guys find an SS La Ocean, that's not that. I was thinking it was more this kind of ship. Just felt like it would be this kind of ship. I feel like in Poirot and stuff, like which I don't think is like too far from. Well, Poirot's like World War One, so maybe it's a little further. But I do kind of I don't know. For some reason, I was thinking it would be like a steamship, but it turns out nope. We got ourselves a big old gunner. Is it ocean or oceanic? I mean, it could be oceanic. That could be a typo. Is there an SS Oceanic from that era? Let's double check real quick and then we'll take a break. And by the way, I was just doing a little. I was like, oh, I thought it was this ship, but it turns out it's more like this. But we'll see. Maybe not. Let's find out. Let's look it up. Okay, Ocean. There's also oceanographic. $18.50. I mean, oh, there's the RMS, the White Star Starliner. Oh, dude. Do you think this was a screw up? No, because this was built in 1899. Okay, the 1850 date that I saw was like, yeah, it can't be the Oceanic, because that would mean that maybe in the time travel world where they can travel through time. Nope, I think we found the Ocean. I mean, there's this beauty. There's a lot of really interesting ships. Ocean class ship in the line. Let's see what this says. Series. Again, this is like 3-decker ships. 118 gun. I mean, that just seems a little intense. Yeah. SS Oceanic, though, is 1870. White Star Line's first liner. I mean, is it a liner ship? Let's see. List of ocean liners. One more. Passenger ships engaged in the transportation of. Yeah, I don't know if ocean liners. Well, SS City of Glasgow. Liverpool to Philadelphia. Australian passenger. I mean, these do have an SS, so I'm double checking here, guys. I'm trying to dot my I's and. There is the RMS Oceanic. That can't be right. There's the Leonardo da Vinci, but that was built in the 1950s. We're looking for ships that existed in 1850. There's the Iberia. That would go through the UK to Australia. I mean, the Great Western crossing the Atlantic. The Great Britain was a museum ship. Largest passenger ship in the world from 1845 to 1854. Let's check this out. This is going to Ireland and the Falklands. I think we found our ship, you guys, but I'm still double checking. It doesn't hurt to cross your I's and dot your T's. It's very strange, all these city ships. Glasgow. That's I believe that's how Corey got there, right? You took the SS City of Glasgow. Just checking, guys. $1,800 ships. SS Baltic. Wooden hold side wheel. British owned Canard Line. Pacific and Arctic. Oh, this is a U.S. ship. But it's a cruise liner. Nope. Civil War. New York. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we found our ship earlier. I'm just trying to make sure we haven't missed anything really obvious. If you guys find anything, feel free to speak up too. If not, no worries, you know. I think we found our ship. All right, I feel pretty good about the SS Ocean because I don't think it's the Oceanic. The Oceanic didn't exist at that time. It's like 10 years later. So it must be this ship. That, ladies and gents, cuts it for the ship. So we have an idea. Okay, so now let's see if we can find Victorian ship cabin interior. I mean, it's a small ship cabin. I mean, let's go back to our, that's pretty like spot on to what I envision here. So we're talking like a pretty tiny spot. That just seems correct. Some of these interiors just seem too big, you know? Interior cabin on the SS Great Britain. That might be pretty good too. Just giving some options here. I like that one because Corey said I didn't get there by boat, unfortunately. Sure you didn't. Were you the person who sunk the SS Glasgow, Corey? And now you're just denying connections and culpability. I really like the idea of it being a ship that has kind of a strange ship-like side like that. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like to me, it just kind of makes sense. A single screw ship. I don't know what that means. And it's tough because if you look up Victorian, that doesn't help. So let's look at 1850 because there's always a Victoria ship, like a ship called the Victoria or something. Life on the a sailing ship. Yeah, great. That's actually pretty helpful. It does look like gunners. Fun times, you guys. I swear this has purpose to it. All this madness. I think there was a good one here. But it's like a single cabin. I think that was it. I mean, I think that ship's cabin, that's pretty good. I don't know if we need the potty in there, but that kind of works. That doesn't feel as much like a single cabin. I mean, it could be like based on an officer's cabin. It just, like, if you had something like that, it would make sense to have, like, if we have a portal or something, or a porthole, then it's going to be nice for, like, just sequential imagery. I don't even mind having some freedom with it. It's just, but I mean, to me, that looks like that looks pretty good too. Old ship cabin. Okay, guys. I have been researching the SSL Ocean for a little bit. I think we found what we can. And I think we're equipped to, like, start some doodling. So there's a few things that I want to do. But the first thing is, because we've been going for over an hour, we're going to play the trailer for my graphic novel, Jacob's Apartment. And I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope this is interesting to you guys. All right, so I'm going to play the trailer, and then we're going to get to doing thumbnails, which is kind of exciting. So here we go. Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we these things we've seen and walk around breathing pain. I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. All right, I just had a little snack bar. There's one other thing I want to try. Just to make sure I'm not just copping out. Let's pull this back up and let's look up Robert Browning ship. Boat. Because he's written about boats too, but I want to see if. Oh my goodness, this might actually be about their meeting at night. He has to travel through sea at night where his beloved is waiting. It's awfully sweet. I don't think he owned a boat, but I just figured it wouldn't hurt to just cross that off the list of possibilities. What boat did the Brownings elope in? History. He viewed him as an unreliable fortune hunter because he was stationed below. Fled with Browning to Italy. But what did she flee with Browning to Italy in? The Great Elopement. Yep, there's the Laudanum, Wimpole Street. Now, keep in mind, this is like before Robert, right? She's 1830s, 40s. Just having this crazy literary output. Mm-hmm. Yan said, hadn't seen the trailer yet. Pretty cool, Josh. Thanks, Yan. Appreciate that. Robert's kind of struggling. There we go. Okay. Just trying to cross it off, make sure I'm not missing. Am I like wrong on my dates? Oh, it's 1840s. Arg. I was saying 1850. It's 1840, guys. Let's look up 1840s La Ocean. Well, I mean, if it's the 1840s, then the La Ocean actually is probably it. Sorry, guys. I know I've been like back and forth on like the same ocean thing. I know it's not the most exciting thing to watch. The SS Oceanic might actually be correct. No, it's not the SS Oceanic. I think we're just going back in a loop. I think we found our ship. Yeah. Ocean class ships were 118 three-decker ships. Yeah. Let's try this one. No, we already did this. Already been there. Jimmy said I found some videos on YouTube, but probably not the best place for info. Honestly, YouTube isn't too bad. Let's check it out. SS Le Ocean. But it looks like your ship. Yeah. So I think that's it. All right. So your YouTube has basically confirmed my ship. So we're going to call it. We found our ship. We're going to have to make an assumption that we found our ship. Philip said, a very late good evening, Josh. Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting evening. We're trying to do some thumbnails. So we have our ship kind of roughed out. Okay. We have a rough idea of our ship. So here's our interior like inspirations. I think I can kind of do an amalgamation of like all of these things. Philip said I was out with some friends and just chimed in now. Nice. Hope you had fun with your friends. There's our ship. We have a lot of these. A lot of these. This was my favorite, I think, of the references from what I recall. That just seemed like ideal to what, like, this is exactly kind of what I picture as the cabin. So I think that's going to be our main cabin. Philip said, what are you working on tonight? So I'm trying to rough out page 22. And it again, like much like the earlier boat issue, I just kept getting stuck on the boat. Like I couldn't find the boat. And then we finally found what looks like the boat. It existed at the time. and it had the exact same name, but it's kind of weird because it's like a gunning ship. So I find that a little strange. The ships of naval action La Ocean. Your photos are right from the video I just saw. Oh, cool. Yeah, I just don't think there's any other ship it could be. So anyway, I was trying to kind of pin down like what is the ship that we're imagining here, you know? Just so that we have some, hopefully, like a little bit of historical accuracy if possible. And I'm guessing that's the ship that they're kind of imagining is in this thing. So this is a lot of reference, but it's better to have a ton. It really is. Like, I'll take 1,000,000 references over none. So we have all this wonderful stuff. This I don't think I need. This I can't remember if that was any good. Let's find out. I mean, I did like that arching thing, but I kind of feel like that's off for the type of ship. Like, that's a smaller ship. So we're going to delete that one. And I don't know if I need the ship interior, but it doesn't hurt. Kind of have like a rough hull. And so now, and then I have my list. So now I'm going to shrink this down even more. And we've got like a really good little reference palette for our ship. I don't think we need to look up a handkerchief. We've got the ship cabin. So there's one more thing. Philip said, "Oh, I didn't know you were that far into the book. That's great. Thanks, Philip. Yeah, getting there. Rough for page 22. We did finish the rough for page 21 yesterday, or actually earlier today. Okay. All right. So we have one last thing to look up, which is going to be pretty simple. Cramped passenger cabin. Okay. We are going to look up some stuff here, guys. We are going to look up Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and we're going to see if there's an outfit, but I'm guessing that we should have, you know what, let's try Victorian nightgown. Because they're married and they're in a ship. That's good. That's kind of perfect. I like that. Okay. We got our Victorian nightgown. Boom. Done and done. All right. So we have basically looked up all the stuff we need to do roughs, which is great. Now we just need a thumbnail. And we have all sorts of stuff. So this is going to be very basic. We're going to do our thumbnails real quick. We'll start them. So Let's see. Okay. I'm going to call this thumbs. Okay. So we've got the SSL Ocean as a shot of the ship in a storm. So we're going to just start it off. We have 7 panels. What does that look like? So first being the shot of the ship in the storm, and then a cramped cabin covering mouth with a handkerchief. I like the idea of maybe this is Okay. We're just going to kind of have fun here. Shot of the ship in a storm. With some wind. So it's going to be a shot of the ship in a storm, but of course the ship being in a storm should be a little tilted. Try something like that. Cool. And this is going to say SSL Ocean. It's going to have like a little thing. And that'll be the first panel. Okay. Thumbnails, guys. Nothing crazy. Cramped cabin. EBB hunched over a small bed, covering mouth with her handkerchief. Robert is going to have his hand on her back. And we have plenty of Elizabeth Barrett references that we can pull in later. I like the idea of a cramped cabin here. And I'm going to actually just almost pull from that cabin that we liked. So there's our cabin. And it's going to be Elizabeth is hunched over a small bed, covering mouth with handkerchief. So she's going to be here, covering her mouth with a handkerchief. Hunched over, though, sounds like almost barfing. Robert is going to be next to her with his hand on her back. I'm going to have her kind of hunched over, but like, let's exaggerate that a bit more. Okay, there we go. Hunched over. And here, yeah, it's weird. I think actually it's going to be a square window because I don't think they have like portholes like in the ship that I'm seeing. And it'll kind of have some of that stuff. Side stuff. Okay, cool. And here I'm going to actually just do the coughing. Cough. Cough. I know this is thumbnails, guys, not roughs yet. So we're just trying to kind of get very basic layout here. Okay. Cabin floor slants. We're going to do so we've got the cough, we've got this. So you have 4 more. Cool. I might be able to actually make it like I like that. Okay. Okay, so we have Elizabeth Roberts like here. It's going to be an exact 180 of the viewpoint we just saw. The ship. And here it's going to be Wilson entering. You know what? Hold on. Do it even better. We'll have the entryway here where Wilson will enter with her bottle of laudanum. And she's going to be holding the side cabin door. And then we're going to have some fun and we're going to shift that. And then we're going to do another here. Shifts that. Okay. Now we're going to do, these are thumbs. We're just kind of establishing where we're going to draw here. So we're going to tilt the lens with the cabin, right? But we're also going to have her closer up here. And she's reaching the bed. She's going to have her laudanum bottle here. Maybe she'll be like reaching to the roof. And this is her maid, so whatever. She'll be in the foreground now. Cool. How's everybody doing? What's everybody doing up so late? And what are you guys up to? What are you guys working on? Let me know in the chats. I'm kind of curious. Quite a few people watching along live. A lot of creatives in our group. So let us know. Let me know what you're working on. I know that we're going to have on Artcasters on Thursday, we're going to have CB Smallwood on. He's edited an anthology called Wildcat Anthology. And I noticed that Jan hopped in here. And part of why I wanted CB on was that like Jan has a piece in there. And I want to see the thing get funded. But there's quite a few people from the Artcasters community in it. Okay. So we have our rocking ship. Then we're going to have a close-up of her shakily pouring a spoonful. She's not feeling good here. Jan said, office hours in the Philippines. Yes, I finished up the 8 pages for CV Smallwood's Wildcat anthology. Besides that, less art, more learning how to code. Yeah. I've noticed that. A lot of coding stuff on Twitter you've been posting. It's kind of cool. And then here is going to be her. This should be like more of a close-up. Of Elizabeth. And that's going to be of. We'll know it's the maid's arm too. Cool. It's not fully worked out, but I do think that's a thumbnail that'll work and kind of reinforce the story. So we've got our thumbnail done. I'm going to move my thumbnail here. I'll probably delete all those little check boxes we made. So I'm going to move my thumbnail here, and then I'm going to save. And then I'm going to play the Christmas trailer for my autobiographical graphic novel. I might even grab another little nature bar kind of thing. And then we'll get back to rocking this business. So, and then we'll get to roughs. So we finished our thumbnails. We got most of our research. Some of the other research we'll have to just pull from other things, but we have a good starting point. So I'm going to put on the trailer for 2 stories. It's the Christmas trailer. And this graphic novel is available on Amazon right now for like a really reduced rate, especially if you have Amazon Prime. And enjoy, and then I'll be back and we're going to rock some roughs. So I'm still chewing on my real quick snack. So I'll put on the Jacob's trailer real quick so you guys don't get the ASMR of me chewing on food. And then we'll get back to it. So Jacob's trailer one more time. Then we're going to hit the roughs. Clearly it seems that only in dreams can we Okay. I didn't want to make you guys have to sit through the same trailer like like 2 seconds after you'd already watched it. So you saw a little bit of it. If you want to watch the full thing, hang around till we hit like the 3-hour mark, and I'll play it again. For now, we're gonna rock some more art stuff here. So there's a couple things like that I find really helpful with the roughs. One is, I know this is going to be a 6-panel grid. So I'm kind of half tempted to pull open a previous rough that was a 6-panel grid, which I know I've done because like the whole comic is kind of modeled roughly around a 6-panel grid. And the only reason I'm going to do that is just to spare us the drawing time of having to do the panel borders again. So I'll probably pull open, like I'm going to pull open this page and we'll have to do some adjustments, but at least that'll be like less because I can just copy these rough borders from the previous. And obviously these are just roughs, you guys. But the nice thing is because I do tight roughs, it spares me a ton of time on the finals. And so that's why I spend so much time on the roughs. Like I like to get all the research and everything out of the way, so that at the end of the day, like I can do this very effectively and quickly, right? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and close all of these beautiful references that we've made, except for the thumbnails. And that'll give us just a rough idea of the layout. So here, I know that I'm gonna have to make some adjustments. One quick adjustment is just gonna be like just shifting a little bit so that we have kind of our layout a little more accurate to like what it's going to be. Jan said, fun to see some animations in the previous Christmas trailer. Makes me think about that fine line between comics and animations that robs comics of what makes them comics, yet I love seeing comic book art animated. Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Yeah, it was fun to work on. I did a couple trailers for 2 stories, and I've been playing the Christmas trailer mainly because the other trailer uses a song that I made, but because I published it on an album that came out, it keeps like demonetizing my video to monetize myself. And so it's kind of weird. It's like I own the copyright to the song used on it. It just delays any revenue that I make. Not that I make a ton, but I do make a bit off of like advertising and stuff on this channel. It's not a ton, but it's like it's very delayed on YouTube, and then it's like 10 times as delayed if I have to then pay royalties to myself from my own YouTube video. So like the monetization just takes like 3 times as long. So that's why I play the Christmas trailer for 2 stories. But I should probably put the actual 2 stories trailer into the rotation too, because at the end of the day, I do kind of see the revenue. It just, again, it's just, it's definitely one of those funny things of like the weird thing with copyright. Where it's like, if you publish through like a music publishing service, like they, very helpfully, like, have an algorithm like kind of checking to see who's playing your music without, giving attribution or whatever, and they basically take the monetization and like take the revenue from that and like funnel it to the artist, like the, in this case, the musician or whatever. But it is funny when that musician is actually yourself. But anyhow, whatever. Okay. There we go. We got our thing here. It's going to say And again, this is just rough, so we're just going to rough it in. Going to say S S L lotion. Do you think it's actually the SS lotion? Okay. So here we go. Gonna kind of have that kind of. I think actually on this I haven't been doing that part. The way these are usually done, it's more like this. In this book, so SS lotion. We're gonna have our stormy sea. I don't think those are any of the ships. Ah, I think that might have been the one. Facing the wrong direction. Haha. There you are. So we're going to draw that ship. And again, this is a rough, so we don't need it to be like perfection. And actually, I shouldn't be doing this on the I call this border rough. And this is going to be rough. And we're going to draw that beautiful business. Oh. Good. Okay. We're going to have our ship. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect. Very, very rough. Stormy sea. Got some crazy waves going. I like the idea of being maybe a little more in focus. Philip said, "Do you know much about what comicsology is? I see 2 stories is available for that. I'm guessing it's something like Kindle." Yeah, I think comicsology. I wouldn't really know. I know that Marcosia kind of handles all of that. So, comicsology, I think, is like I think it's just like a comicsology is e-publishing for comics, and I think most publishers that are carrying comic books that are like, I think Marvel, DC, like I think a lot of big comic book publishers, including small indie publishers that are selling comics as digital ebooks, use Comixology, and I think it's a comic subscription service. And I think it's a little more friendly to other mediums, whereas like the Kindle is, from what I understand, very specific to like Google, or not Google, Amazon applications. So I think like Comixology is a little broader, and I think from what I hear, like people who like e-books and e-comics tend to really like Comixology. I also think they give you like a larger cut if you sell books, but again, like, I'd have to like defer to Marcosia on that. Yeah, Jan was saying it's like on the iPad and the Mac. So I think it's more like a Mac friendly version of the Kindle. I think the Kindle might be like good for PC, but I feel like, I feel like Comixology is a pretty cool kind of alternative to it. But yeah, I think that's mainly if you like ebooks and comics and stuff. So we're going to kind of have this as a rough. It's going to be a storm, so we're going to have like some kind of heavier atmosphere here. I might have a little bit of like land in the background. I do like that in the other image. So I might kind of make that be the case. But it's going to be very like black land here. And then I'm going to have some mist. So we'll probably darken up the sky. Guessing this is not daytime. I think this is going to be very like nighttime. And again, roughs are good for like, we're trying to establish like lighting and that kind of thing. I like the idea of possibly having, oh good, okay, so we can kind of go over this. I like the idea of having it's so good to work out. Like, weirdly enough, like doing tight roughs is great because it helps you kind of establish lighting too. So like here I'm kind of experimenting, and then when it comes to the final, I'll kind of know a potential method for the madness that is, what I'm working on. I like the idea of a moon, as silly as that is. I want that theme kind of too, because we sort of, when we were introduced to 50 Wimple, I showed the moon, and so it wouldn't hurt to like kind of have like a moonlight sort of theme with these like rainy sequences. So anyhow, obviously this is very rough. I like the idea of some rain, so I think I'll give it some rain. We're going to have it really like, this is a very stormy, crazy scenario. And so this ship is rocking to and fro, and really pretty like out to sea. And then I definitely want to add some shading. I should have probably done that before the but I like the idea of the ship having some lighting. And of course the ocean's going to need a little bit of lighting too. And we're going to do some ocean lighting as well. So there we go. I do like this being a little darker. And then we're going to have a little bit more of that rain. And maybe a little bit of mist, because it's the ocean, especially like where the ocean is meeting the land. I think that would be good. Cool. Rough for number 1. Good to go. I don't even think we need to see that ship again. All that work. They also do a subscription model like Netflix, he said. And so like Netflix, they do originals and become a platform and publisher. Yeah. And they've been around for a while. I mean, I remember years ago, you know, when Numb came out, like they emailed me a long time ago and were like, hey, do you want to be on Comixology? And I think at the time I very dumbly was like, no, like, whereas now I'd be pretty about that. Okay, we have a few things we need to do. We need to pull from previous pages. So I think here we actually have a few things that are really good. I'm going to just defer to... So I think we have a couple things that I already researched in here. Like we need to find our EBB. So we don't need the Chase Lounge. Thank God we don't have to draw that building anymore. I do like the idea of having Robert in there. And I like Robert's costume kind of remaining the same. Like I feel like Elizabeth is going to change costumes a lot. I feel like Robert, I don't know, maybe... I mean, maybe if she's going to be in a nightgown, it might make sense for him to be... Okay, hang on. We're going to look up Victorian pajamas. Men. My goodness, you guys. I'm going to get sued here for the... Men's Victorian pajamas. These don't look very Victorian. That looks like more like the 1940s. 1850s men pajamas. You know what? I feel like men were wearing kind of a robe at the time. I think men wore a nightgown too. So maybe Robert will be in one of those too. All right. Yeah, he said something like Scrooge from Christmas Carol. Well, it's about that era, you know, and I do think men just wore those. Let's see here. Okay, we need to get from our previous pages. I definitely am going to need to find the maid. So we will find that reference we've been using everywhere. I definitely am going to want that. That's the sculpture of... Oh, it's the sculpture of Elizabeth we've been using throughout as like kind of a reference for her face. I do think we're going to want... No, we don't need her room. We're going to want this maid reference because this is kind of what we've been using for Elizabeth's maid. And I think that'll do it, except did we get Robert's face? Yes. Yep. Okay. So now let's get in there. First thing's going to be Elizabeth. Where was that Victorian robe? There we go. EBB's nightgown is here. Okay, here we go. So this is going to be an interesting ruff to do, but well worth it. So we're going to have Elizabeth. She is going to be leaning. Leaning and into a handkerchief. And she's going to be wearing this sort of nightgown. So that's going to have like so here she's just going to be leaning over and just not feeling really good over, and it's going to be like a cough, cough. And then that's going to be over the bed. Robert is going to be here, arm over her, his hand on her shoulder. And he's kind of wearing he's going to be looking over her shoulder. To have more concern than that. And he's going to basically be sort of leaning over her, just concerned and most definitely, looking out for her well-being. Are they going to be in bed? That's the thing I just realized. Because it actually said in a bed. Now I kind of feel like they should be in bed. So we're going to do a quick revise to the thumbnail because I think I misread that. It's not going to hurt. Actually, it's going to be a little bit better. So they're going to be in bed. So she's going to be like hunching over. So they're in that bed under the blankets. And then he's going to be next to her. So we'll just kind of revise that because that makes a little more sense and that'll make it easier to get Wilson to her. So now I'm starting to understand this a little bit better. Like, because I did think that was a little strange. Should she be here? No, she should be on this side. And then he's going to have his arm over her shoulder. And then she's going to be having that cough, cough. That makes so much more sense. I don't know why I thought they were over the bed for some reason. Okay, so now we're going to do the cabin. Cabin. Going to be here. Be the dresser kind of thing. This is going to be the bed. This will be that dresser thing. This will be the window. And that's going to be like crazy rain in the background. Let's do a little bit of a lamp. I'm going to tilt the lamp too. And then we're going to see, I like the idea of seeing some of that hull because that reinforces like, okay, we're in a ship. As well as like a little portal type viewer here. And tiny little windows. And we're going to just have, I think, a very like boat-like bottom there. Okay. So then we'll have some shading, which could all emanate from this light source here. I like it. Woohoo! So now we have 2 panels down. And now we're going to do our tilty panels. Our tilty panels. This is going to be so much easier. Now that I know they're in bed, that just makes a mass difference here. You know? So we've got our cabin. We're going to do a rough that's from the other viewpoint, but this time we're going to transfer it so that it's clearly on the bed. So behind the bed, we're going to see EBB kind of hunched over, coughing. Robert's hand. Robert himself is wearing like a nightgown here. Forgot he's got his. Can't forget Robert's got like a beard, kind of neck beard sort of thing going on. So this is going to be her, but well, let's go ahead and sketch it out. So, and we'll have to tilt it in a second. We're going to have like sort of this thing here. And this is going to be that portal thing. Some of this is going to be here. We know we have like a kind of dinner tray type thing here, but it's not much. And then we know there's going to be a doorway here. And a window here. And then there's going to be this, which is going to give way to some of these things. Again, will give way to some of these things and so on. And we know it's going to have like kind of a this is going to be her with her laudanum bottle. And I was going to have her here. She's like kind of holding the deck. And this is going to be that crazy maid hat that we've been drawing this whole time. And similar thing. And here she's going to be holding the laudanum. Laudanum bottle. Here maybe she'll have the spoon. And gonna have like her sort of stumbling in. Like so. Now, I also know there's going to be a lantern right here. And since it's going to be tilting this way now. And we're going to be modifying that greatly in a second. Okay. Turn that down. Okay. This is going to be one of those moments. Okay, one of those moments. I have no idea what that extra thing is on. I think that's on my lists. Yep. Okay. So, okay. So Elizabeth's here. She's coughing. And she's also going to be here, but there's going to be a movement. So we'll get there. Okay. And then we also know from our thumbnail that the first one is going to tilt to the left, which is why I drew the ship here. And then the second is going to tilt to the right. And that is going to have her in the foreground. I need to look at the thumbnail again. Let's move that thumbnail somewhere that's a little easier to read. Okay. Yeah, so she's going to be moved to the foreground here next to Elizabeth. Okay. Sorry for the quiet there. So we're basically, you know, tilting the ship. So you can see the ship is kind of rocking back and forth. I like the idea of maybe this one being a little more focused on that side. And then here we can have that doorway. And maybe we actually show like the cabin ship door open a little bit, since we never got to see that. And then, you know, some of these things. So now we're going to do just a little bit of lighting. Again, like this will be pretty dark. We want to highlight the laudanum thing. Elizabeth is going to be lit by the side. Robert's lit back here. They definitely are going to cast a shadow on the bed. And that. Similar thing, we're just going to establish a little bit of lighting here. The light's going to be a little different. That's definitely going to be the laudanum bottle from the previous pages. And we're getting there. Again, these are roughs, but it just helps us in the long run. This will definitely be like a lantern that will hopefully kind of establish a little bit of a light source. And there we go. And where are we at? We're almost at the 3-hour mark. But look at this. We're making some progress, you guys. So now I need to look at my thumbnail and look at what I need for this last one. Okay, this is going to be the maid pouring the laudanum. And we will possibly pull reference from like the last laudanum thing, but we're getting there. We're over halfway there, guys. And now that we're over halfway there, I will play the Christmas trailer of 2 Stories again. And I'm going to get some coffee. And we're going to rock and roll and finish this page. All right. We're going to get there. Okay. So Elizabeth, I might need. Robert, I might need. A lot of these things I might need, and now it might be a good time to kind of move my roughs a little bit lower so that we can actually see some of these references. So we're going to need our cabin. So I'm going to move the cabin up here, but it's good to have. I'm going to need Elizabeth probably a lot for this side especially. I'm going to like to have her nightgown. So I'm going to kind of move that over here. I'm going to need, let's see here. I want to have Elizabeth's maid is going to be quintessential on this page. And then Robert is going to be there too. But we're actually going to see a lot of their back and side because of the change like that I had to kind of make last minute there. That's why it's like so good to do thumbnails before roughs. I didn't get precious with my thumbnails, so that is going to help. And then with laudanum, we had a page, and I feel like I want to go to my final. There is a page where she was pouring her laudanum. Wilson, Elizabeth's maid, that we already drew, and we came up with a laudanum bottle, and I feel like it was pretty recent. And there it is. So I want to actually grab this. And we're going to just kind of put that here. Oh my goodness. I'll just make it real tiny. That just shows us like what the laudanum bottle is going to look like. That's from a finished pencils page. Okay. Now we got the maid. We're doing our rough. We know we have the maid that's going to be here, and she's going to be pouring laudanum. But I want it to be like kind of like a close-up. So I'm going to have it like her. She's looking down. She's determined. She is really like, I think she might even be at like an angle here. But I want her like to be pouring the laudanum. She's pouring the laudanum. Into a spoon. I want it to almost be like her arms back, kind of cocked back. And she is really struggling to get that in, but she's going to get the laudanum in that thing. This is a rough, okay. And here she's going to be like, her leg is going to be very much balancing. And I think we can actually have her a little bigger. So we have a little more focus on the laudanum. This is why it's great to do digital roughs. You can really like scoot stuff around and like you just don't have to like belabor stuff. And then this is going to be Elizabeth like here. And actually, I think this is a far better way to do it, honestly. And Elizabeth's nightgown, which is going to be like here. And that's going to be the post of the bed. We're going to have the doorway here. And then we're going to have to shut all this off real quick. Look at the cabin interior and see where we're located here. And we're going to have some of this background that we already established. We're going to work out our composition so we're not fully losing everything. That is going to be the okay. I actually like this more than my initial thumbnail idea. It's silly that I didn't catch that when I was first thumbnailing. That it's, I mean, it makes a lot more sense that they're actually in bed. And the thing I was trying to even figure out before, where I thought they were leaning on the bed, I think I just misread it, was like, how is she going to get the laudanum like in Elizabeth's mouth if Elizabeth is like leaned over the bed? But it's like, no, she's leaned over in bed. And that kind of makes a heck of a lot more sense. Like what it can, eventually be. So the laudanum is getting poured. You guys, we're almost there. I don't know if you're seeing this. And then this last one will actually make a lot more sense because it's going to almost be like it's a little bit like animation, these frames, but it will make a little bit of sense once we kind of get there. Trust me. As to why you should trust me, I have no idea, guys. And actually, honestly, people are saying, hey, trust me. Like, that's not necessarily the most trustworthy thing to say to somebody. Somebody tells me trust me, I instantly think, why should I trust you? Is that terrible? Okay, so here we go. But this actually will make a lot of sense in a second. So we're going to have this as the maid's hat, just a little bit. We're going to have our bedpost here. It kind of ends up coming up further. We're going to have her arm's going to move. So her arm is going to be holding the laudanum here, the bottle. Bottle of laudanum is going to be carried here. And her arm is going to be kind of out on the side. And now we are going to do by the way, the eyes probably should have been. This is why you draw a through line when you draw stuff. Should be like this. We did it. You guys, we finished our roughs. I mean, you know, and I think it shows like a rocking ship, and we're definitely like seeing a lot of movement, but we're also seeing like the whole thing played out. She reaches the bed, shakily pours a spoonful, manages to tip it into Elizabeth's mouth. Whew. All right, guys, that is it for my rough. Oh, hold on a second. Just so you guys can see it a little better. So we have the SS Laotian. Robert and Elizabeth are in bed in this small cabin. She's coughing. He's concerned. Wilson comes in holding laudanum. Wilson manages to make her way towards Robert and Elizabeth. Wilson pours the laudanum into a spoon, and then boom, here she gets the spoon into Elizabeth's mouth, and we are good to go. Wow, that was a I don't know. It was a slightly complex page to decode, but I don't feel like it was all that crazy, and we managed to get there. Um, you guys are awesome. If you haven't yet, make sure you've hit subscribe. You've hit the bell so you get notifications when I'm about to go live. Um, uh, if you haven't yet, also make sure you pick up a copy of Jacob's Apartment. And this is my slice of life coming of age story that talks about the story of Jacob and Sarah and the kinds of questions that can cause even the strongest faith to kind of doubt, or sow doubt in even the strongest of faith. It's a book where dreams and reality interweave. It's 132 full color pages, and I'm really proud of the work I did on this. It's all hand inked and colored and written by me and drawn by me. So make sure you pick up a copy of this book. It's available from Graphic Mundi at bookstores everywhere, and you can definitely order it online at pretty much any reputable bookseller or bookstore. So make sure you pick up Jacob's Apartment. I'll also say it is offset, and so it's got this beautiful. I don't know if you can see that, but like you can tell it's offset when like the signatures actually make a little circle like that at the top. This is a beautifully printed book, and it's very well worth picking up while supplies last. And then two stories. My first book, published by Marcosia, and that is my autobiographical, very confessional book that talks about dealing with depression and panic disorder and growing up as a geek and dressing as Indiana Jones for an entire year in elementary school before cosplay was a thing, and other such stories. So make sure you picked up my two graphic novels. And thank you for following and hanging out with me while I'm working on my third. So page 22 roughed out, and the next time I do these streams, I'll be working on page 23. I think I'll go to sleep now so I can wake up early and rock page 23. What's great is I think page 23, if we look at it, it looks like it takes place in the same location. And so I'm kind of excited about that. I also realized that there's a chair beside the bed in this cramped cabin. So we're not quite done. I want to draw that chair just to seed the idea. Let's put it here, just like mildly. It shouldn't be in the way of Wilson's journey, but I want it to like at least be seeded into the plot that there is a chair. Even if you barely notice it, it's like I want people to know there's a chair there. So again, nothing huge. Just know that there is a chair. Okay, that's all I needed. All right, guys. Philip Chandler said sleep with a question mark. Yeah, possibly. I rarely do, but I've been at it for 3 hours. I think I've worked on comics for a good like 6 or 7 hours today. I would have liked to work longer, but I think if I weigh it out right now, it's like if I stay up and I work till like 2, I'm going to be a nightmare tomorrow morning. Whereas if I go to sleep now, I can wake up like 6 and just like rock. So that's what I'm going to do. I will see you guys on the next live stream. And thank you so much to everybody who hung out and stopped in and just kind of joined in and helped out with the research and stuff like that on this page. And I will see you guys on the next live stream. Good night.